Hey guys, this is Impulse. Hope you guys are doing well. In today's video, I'm gonna do a quick introduction to Solaris. Heads up though, this video is more for an audience that knows Houdini already. I won't go over the basics of it. I'm gonna show you how to transition from soft to lob. I will also go quickly over some shading, lighting, and rendering. This is the first of many videos about Solaris, because I do not want this to be overwhelming for you guys. And please, if you have any question, drop a comment below and I'm gonna try to answer it. But most important thing, I hope you guys are gonna like it. So buckle up, let's go. Alright guys, let's dive in. Here's my Houdini. First thing first, when I launch it, I always turn into manual. If you have heavy scene, that's really helpful. But second thing is, I'm gonna change it to my own build, which is this guy here. In this menu, I have my own, you can save it and load it, makes things easier. And there we go. So what do I have? I have object, material, stage, and out. So right now I'm gonna work in sub, which is here. So I'm gonna switch this to auto update. And what are we gonna do is I'm gonna create a ground and 3 sphere. So first one, sphere. There you go, which is here. I'm gonna make sure this is a polygon. I'm gonna crank up the frequency because why not? And just sphere 0, 1. Oof, my nose was itchy, sorry. Let's go 0, 2, 0, 3. Nothing crazy from there, right? What I'm gonna do now is move them ever so slightly. So I'm gonna make my first one, let's say, here. My second is here, well placed. I'm not gonna change it. I'm gonna change my third, which is here. There we go. I'm gonna take those 3. Press 1 to have it here at the center on top of the grid. Talking about grid, let's create one, which will be our ground. There we go. Is it big enough? Yeah, let's just move our 3 sphere kind of in the middle. There we go. That should be nice enough. Now let's create material. So I'm going to go to my material here, and because I work with Arnold, I'm going to create a Arnold material builder. I'm going to make one here, which I'm going to call sphere shader 01. Why I name it this way? Because I want to be lazy. I want to duplicate this easy, 2 and 3. This would be for my spheres. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a standard surface. Shader, surface. The first one will be, let's say, some blood. I'm going to use some preset over here. That's perfect. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to redo the same again. Standard surface. Shader. And this time I'm going to use a copper. Why not? No, actually gold. And the third one, we are gonna use glass. Standard surface. And glass. Now again, if I want to be clean, I rename this one here. This one was gold. There we go. And this one was blood. I'm gonna create another one. Okay, builder here. I could have duplicated this one and rename it ground shader. And for this, what are we gonna use? Honestly, first one random. And this one, ceramic. Yeah, ceramic will do. Ceramic, beautiful. So we all have our shader here. They're all enable. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my object level quickly. I'm gonna drop a material node, which is on this one. You can see here how it changes. Material and sphere shader 01. Nice. Now I'm gonna copy this guy, but first I'm gonna put also the blue and the pink here means this is the rendering part. Sorry, the renderable part. I'm gonna go back here. Beautiful. Because I name my stuff properly. There you go, I can change it quickly here. Quickly here. And then I'm gonna come to this one. The name might change, not sphere, but I'm gonna use the ground one. Beautiful. So now, let's pretend I have asset that came in with shaders and material assigned that I want to bring into Solaris. So, to Solaris, I can either use a scene import, and I'm going to put all. That will bring absolutely everything. My material, my sphere, everything being attached from sub to low. So let's pretend I'm going to call this like, you know, scene. 3D scene, actually. I come here. I have a material. It's all assigned already. I'm going to put a dome light. For this HDRI, and then I'm going to drag and drop an HDRI that I use all the time. I'm going to paste it here. My HDRI, beautiful. If you work with Arnold, remember to change lat long. It doesn't take the automatic format. This is just a random HDRI of an interior. This is obviously compatible with Arnold and Karma both. Summon lat long, exporter 0. Normalize power on. And let's see. So right now, this is literally a scene import, 3D object, and an HDRI here. I'm going to switch here to Arnold. Give it a second. And voila. So what's happening here is, for some reason, my shader didn't attach to it. Which is what I don't like using the scene import. Well, that was quicker than I thought. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to remove here import material. Now everything is great. So for this, to get a better control of my material, what I'm going to do is come back to material. I'm going to copy all of this, go back to stage, create a material library node, and then I'm going to put here, and I'm going to call like materials, period. I'm going to come here, paste it. Okay, so all my shaders are now from the material level into the stage. Oh, my computer is shaking. There you go. So now that I'm in here, I'm going to click here. I'm going to clear this, autofill material. Okay, I'm going to make sure this is on pause so I don't crash or anything. Make sure pause render. This is on pause here. You can see the logo. So now shader 1 of my sphere. So I'm going to drag and drop here, this guy, into here. Same with second. Same with the third. And same with my ground. Now let's redo a render. I'm going to restart. And voila. So we have our glass, our gold, and our ceramic. Now, what are we exactly visualing here? So first of all, when I work in Solaris, especially like this, right? What I like to do is press D, background, display environment light as a background, I always turn it off. And I either put this as dark or gray. Well, you can see, even after turning everything off, you can see that there is, you know, background image behind. So I'm going to pause my render and see where it comes from. I turned it off in the display. So the only thing that I'm suspicious of, it's in the light itself. I'm going to go into the Arnold tab here. I'm going to go down. There you go, camera 1. So I'm going to click here, set or create, and turn this to 0. I do not want my HDRI to be appearing as a display or even my camera. I'm going to do a restart render, and this is it. Now I'm having a great background. So actually, I think I'm going to turn this into dark. There you go. I think this is better to assess your render. So now this is a very noisy render. This is obviously for a preview. It's to be quick and fast and efficient. If you want to crank up the render settings of this, you press D. And if you go to render, this is actually showing you what you're seeing. So for preview, usually I, disable the DOF. I do not disable the rest because I can use it. Atmosphere, well, to be honest, is not already in Solaris. You cannot use atmospheric, shader, and lights, unfortunately, yet. I mean, as far as I'm aware, I do not want to, I do not want to use shader. Obviously, this is broken now. I'm going to leave the SSS. If you remove it, you can see a very slight difference. And now in terms of render settings, we are in -4 progressive render. If I crank this up to 6, for example, now you can see it's refining the image. You can see the percentage here. And if I remove progressive render, then it's going to turn into a bucket render. Let's say if I switch now here, let's see what we got. There we go. See, bucket render. I'm going to just zoom out ever so slightly. Still pretty fast, to be honest. But what I like to do is I like to keep it very quick and very efficient. So I can spin around like I want. Obviously, I'm doing this with 3 sphere that has different material. If I was doing this with, environment, creature, flying, explosion, stuff like that, I might crash doing that type of stuff. I might crash already doing this. So anyway, this mesh HTOA here, I can also put a key light. So what I'm going to do is a key. Oh, my bad, sorry. I'm going to put a light. I can add it below here. And let's put, for example, a key. I'm going to put here as a type a rectangle. I'm going to scale it ever so slightly. I can do this live in the render, which is pretty nice. I think I had a window this way, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. But why my render is not updating with that key is because I haven't changed the blue here logo into here. This is the eye. So now if I do render, if I crank up my exposure, and I restart, then there is a shadow here that starts to come up. So let's put 15. There you go. So let's bring this to a decent value. I can maybe bring this ever so slightly closer. There you go. It's an interior, right? So there you go. Now I have 4 nodes here. What does that mean? It means that here on the left, you see everything from it. If I click on here in the scene import, if I select it, then everything disappears. It gets up to date. Like your material doesn't appear anymore, your light doesn't appear anymore. If I click on this guy, materials appear. And so on, and so on. Now it shows both light here. If I go back into the HDRI, no more. There we go. Now, especially if you work in lighting, you can create yourself some lighting condition pretty quick. And let me show you how. So first of all, this is a interior here, right? Then I'm going to do an exterior lighting. I'm going to create 2 different lighting conditions. This is, I believe, an interior. So interior, I'm going to just duplicate this here. Okay. I'm going to call this exterior. I'm going to come here into the dome light node, base properties, and this is an exterior. And let's refresh now. I'm going to hide the hint. There we go. Total, different, HDRI. I believe, reduce my key a little bit because we have 1. Let's put this 2. can normalize power. Same with this one, actually. Here, there you go. So now I'm like, how do I do if I want to switch? Well, it's pretty simple. You create a switch. You come here. There you go. So now this switch from an interior and exterior, interior, exterior. So this tool is pretty nice, especially if you want to visualize, different lighting condition in your asset. That could be also used for a lot of different stuff. Like, if you want to switch from an asset to another, a light rig to another, etc., etc., etc. Something also very powerful in terms of lighting is the light mixer. So, for example, I can put my light mixer here, in here, and I'm going to make a new one that's going to go in here. So what your light mixer is doing? Well, if you come here, for example, and I'm like, I'm in production, or even I'm working at home, and I'm not, entirely sure on my lighting position, or even my exposure, whatever, you name it. I would just come here, take my key. Well, first of all, I will select the two of them and drag and drop here. So now I have sliders, attribute, and transform value. I'm going to do the same in here with my other lighting setup. Slider, attribute, and transform. Beautiful. So I take here and I'm going to select my key, and I decide, what? For testing purposes, I'm going to just rotate it, coming from behind. I'm going to crank up the exposure value so slightly here. Let's go nuts. I can even change the color a little bit. Let's make it warm. We can maybe make it bigger. There we go. So now I have a different lighting than before. Maybe not that obvious, but we do. There you go. Now this is obvious. But if I come back here, then my light come back to this original position. So this will override your exposure, position, without affecting your original light rig. If you work with HTOA, referencing, or anything that's being shared between people, then you might want to use a light mixer so you don't bust a work that's been made before. You can always come here and disable it. So same here, you can switch, and now if I put my blue eye here, there we go. Different lighting setup, same scenario. If I want to, in this case, increase the exposure of my HDRI, that's a bit too much, but from here, if I want a little tint of pink, obviously I would never want that, but you never know. Some people have weird taste. So here we go. Now, what we can do is we can add also a camera. So it's very simple. Tab, camera. So here we are. I'm going to call this. There you go. My camera is here. I'm going to call this shot camera. I need to put my blue eye here. Now I see my camera. I'm going to lock it, make it this way, and let's find a sexy angle. So I'm gonna pause this right now. I'm gonna switch back to Houdini GL. There you go. I'm here. I'm not here to create some crazy stuff. View the focal length. Let's make it a bit wide. There you go. That covers most of it. Let's do like 33 focal length. There you go. Aperture, yeah. There we go. Beautiful. That's the best camera angle that everyone has ever done. So now I can render through my perspective. I need to hit refresh. There you go, beautiful. Again, if I want to switch back to my other lighting, there you go, and switch back and forth. Now, let's talk render settings. So I'm here, my shot is here. Obviously, this is being decided here. My shot camera has been made here because this is how I started to process it. But I can always put my camera in here. Right after my 3D scene here, I can always come to my switch. And my camera is still up here, you know? Like, it depends how people work and how people organize their file. This is obviously, you see there is like 3, 6, 9, 10 nodes for 3 sphere and 1 ground. So imagine with like a forest, a highway, hundreds of vehicles, crowds, Optimus Prime crashing a bus, who knows? I mean, I heard they're doing with, you know, all practical lately, so maybe not. Anyway, that's a little hint. So we now can create our render settings. There you go. We have our render settings nodes, and I'm gonna call iSample because I want to go nuts. So you can see by default here it's telling you the camera 1, and this is not the camera that I'm using. I'm using something different, which is called shot camera. I'm gonna take it, drag and drop, come into here. The resolution is what it is. I'm gonna just tweak it this time. I'm gonna just, you know, delete the channel. No, sorry, on this one. This guy. And unlock parameter and delete channel. I'm gonna go crazy. 1920 by 1080p. Then what do we have here in our render settings node? This will totally disable your motion blur. I'm gonna enable it. Careful. Then you have Arnold tab and Karma tab. So here we are now. I'm gonna go with my high sample. I'm gonna go nuts, as I mentioned. Set our create 8. My diffuse is 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. Same with the SSS. The volume we don't care, so I'm gonna turn this to 0. And now I'm gonna pause this, go back to here, reset Arnold, and Arnold. So now it's rendering in bucket. Why I've done a high sample? Because I love seeing my end result, but I love also seeing result with my camera, and because sometimes I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not, especially if there is, you know, animation to it, I'm gonna create a low sample. So this guy is here rendering, you can see. I'm gonna pause this. I think you guys understand the principle of it. So I'm gonna come here, duplicate this node here, and I'm gonna call this one, guess. Come on. Low sample. There we go. For low sample, I come here, I switch this to 3, 1, 1, 1, and I'm gonna bring back our friend switch. There you go. I'm gonna rename this LGT switch. I'm gonna call this render setting switch. So I'm here and I'm gonna do a render. Actually, sorry guys, I'm gonna come back here, enable progressive, and I'm gonna do a restart. Boom. And I'm here. For speed purposes, I'm gonna increase this to 6. And I'm like, okay, sounds cool. I'm going to switch to 1, and now this is going to turn into a bucket render with a closer final look to it. See, the bucket starting already here, and then it's going to keep on going. You can see it start to clear up here. And then, I don't know, maybe I want to change something quickly. I'm going to go back here. I'm like, you know, my glass shader, I'm not happy with it, so I'm going to make this like a clay. There you go. Yeah, I'm happy with this. That's what I want. Make it more orange, or blue, green. So satisfying. The speed of it, I'm not gonna lie. There you go, yes, there you go. I don't want to do those change whilst in the middle of a high sample render, you know, like with a lot of samples into it. I don't want to sit here for 20 minutes, half an hour to have a result. So I'm trying to work efficiently. So in our render setting node, what do we have? We have pretty much the same as you guys used to know. So, we have our camera A sample, diffuse, the ray depth, subdivision, background, atmosphere. Doesn't work, just so you know. AOV shader, that's for cryptomat. Or else, auto mip map, accept untiled, accept unmapped, using TX, render device, CPU, ACES, not ACES. You guys, you do you. That's your color space. And we have this, again, the diagnostic tab with ignore bump, smoothing, depth of field, SSS, and yada yada yada. So, that's it. You're gonna probably tell me motion blur, where is it? Well, the motion blur is somewhere, and I will talk to you about those things in another video. So here we are. Here you can put, your render, your USD render up. You can come here and render your picture. Render settings are here, which is this one. Override camera, we don't. The output, you're gonna put it here, you do. Your C drive, desktop, whatever you want. And then you click render to disk. And voila. This is pretty simple. The next video will be about render layers and AOV, how to make them. So again, here this is a pretty standard lighting setup, nothing crazy. That's only if you want to start messing around in Solaris. I will go deeper and deeper, more technical and more developed with other video. So I hope you guys find this interesting, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.